The grand church was filled with the soft hum of excitement. Ryan stood at the altar, dressed in his best suit, his heart beating in sync with the ticking clock. The flowers on the pews smelled fresh, the sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows, and every inch of the room was decorated for one purpose, his wedding to the love of his life, Sophia. Guests whispered excitedly, waiting for the bride to appear. But as the seconds stretched into minutes, a feeling of unease began to settle over Ryan. He glanced at the clock again. Where was she? Ryan's best friend, Daniel, leaned over to him, trying to ease his nerves. She's just running a little late, man. Don't stress. Ryan forced a smile, but inside, his anxiety grew. He checked his phone. No messages. No calls. What's taking her so long? The church doors suddenly swung open with a soft creak. But instead of Sophia, the maid of honor, Emma, walked through with a look of distress on her face. In her hand was an envelope sealed with a gold crest. Ryan's stomach dropped. Something wasn't right. He could feel his heart pounding in his throat. Emma? Ryan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Where's Sophia? Emma's eyes were filled with unshed tears as she handed him the envelope. Ryan. I'm so sorry. Sophia can't marry you. She's gone. Ryan's body froze. His mind refused to comprehend the words. Gone, he repeated, his voice cracking. What do you mean? What's going on? Emma shook her head, her tears spilling over. She left, without a word. She's gone, Ryan. She said she couldn't go through with it. Ryan's hands trembled as he opened the envelope, and inside was a letter from Sophia. It read, Ryan, I've been lying to myself. I love you, but I'm not ready for this. I'm sorry, but I have to go. I've found someone else. Please don't hate me. Ryan's heart shattered. He felt as though the floor had been ripped out from under him. The world around him blurred, and all he could hear was the muffled sound of guests whispering, exchanging looks of disbelief. He looked up at Emma, who seemed as lost as he felt. That I don't understand, he whispered. How could she do this? Emma didn't have an answer. She only hugged him tightly, trying to offer some comfort in the chaos. The weeks after the wedding disaster were a blur. Ryan couldn't escape the heartache. He isolated himself, avoiding his friends and family. His dreams of a future with Sophia were shattered, and his life felt empty. But the days turned into weeks, and Ryan slowly began to pick up the pieces of his broken life. He threw himself into his work, something he had neglected during the wedding preparations. He started traveling more, meeting new people, and even pushing himself to take on bigger projects that he'd been too afraid to tackle before. One day, while on a business trip in a remote town, Ryan met Layla, a passionate, free-spirited artist who was struggling to make her dream of opening an art gallery come true. They met by chance at a coffee shop, and their conversation was easy, natural. Layla was different. She wasn't interested in money or status. She was interested in Ryan as a person. Ryan was drawn to her warmth and honesty. For the first time in a long time, he felt alive. He opened up to her about his heartbreak, his failed wedding, and his struggle to move on. Layla, with her understanding smile, said, Sometimes life gives us the hardest moments because it's pushing us to grow. You'll find what you truly need when the time is right. Her words stayed with Ryan, and over time, their friendship blossomed into something more. Layla encouraged him to take risks again, to embrace the possibilities of life that he had locked away after Sophia's betrayal. A year later, Ryan found himself standing in a luxurious office building. He had been promoted to CEO of the company he had been working for, a position he had once dreamed of but never thought he could achieve. Layla, now his girlfriend, stood by his side, smiling proudly. She had helped him believe in himself again. But the true twist came when Ryan was called into a meeting with investors. As he entered the conference room, his heart stopped. Sitting across from him was none other than Sophia, the woman who had broken his heart, the woman he thought he could never forgive. Sophia looked different, older, and clearly remorseful. She had made a life for herself, but it was clear from her eyes that she regretted what had happened between them. "Ryan," Sophia began softly. "I never thought I'd see you again, especially like this. I wanted to apologize for what I did to you." Ryan felt the anger, the confusion, and the betrayal bubbling up inside of him. But then he looked at Layla, who stood beside him, strong and unwavering. In that moment, Ryan realized something. He was no longer the man she had left behind. He had grown, learned, and rebuilt his life. He wasn't broken anymore. "I've moved on, Sophia," Ryan said calmly. "I'm not the same person I was when you left me at the altar. And I'm happy now." Sophia's eyes welled with tears as she nodded. "I know. I can see that. I'm happy for you." As Ryan walked out of the meeting room, hand in hand with Layla, he realized that being left at the altar wasn't the end of his story. It was the beginning of something far greater than he could have ever imagined.